So, like, what even is star power? Mario is a name, face, and otherwise cultural icon that doesn't need any introduction to speak of. So I'm not gonna introduce him. What can I say, the guy and the games he appears in are the most iconic thing to come out of video games. However, despite the borderline biblical ubiquity of the Mario franchise, much of what we know surrounding the story and lore of these games remains largely unexplored, thanks in large part to the series having practically zero exposition for most of its tenure. So again, I ask the question, what is star power? I want to take the time today to answer this question by looking at what evidence the Mario series gives us, making theories and drawing conclusions from each of these examples that I'm personally aware of. I've seen exactly nobody on YouTube talk about the concept of power stars in the Mario series, and I want to see if maybe I can do a sort of theory-style video about the topic, because, you know, why not? It's gonna be a lot of inane ramblings and general theory insanity, so if absolutely nothing else, I hope it's at least entertaining. Power stars in the Mario series can largely, but not always, fit into two subcategories. Power stars can facilitate progression whenever you go through the 3D games, or in the 2D games they can make you the denizens, soldiers, and heroes of the Mushroom Kingdom like to protect the power stars, and everything having to do with Bowser's side likes to take them and use them for nefarious purposes. So what does this tell us? Well, primarily, for one, the power stars are extremely powerful artifacts or objects regardless of what game they show up in, and everybody wants them for some reason or another. There are always going to be exceptions and edge cases to this rule, but largely speaking, let's just pretend that this is a 100% consistent thing. They are sought-after objects or possibly even sentient beings, and obviously if they fall into the wrong hands, that could spell problems for the good guys. Now, unfortunately, in terms of the extent of the power star's power, we don't really have a whole lot to go off of there. While it is common to see Mario and friends gain some sort of invulnerability state whenever they use a power star, there are still some limits to this power. For instance, whenever platforming in the 2D games, consider that falling into a pit will still result in a game over. Merely touching an enemy will result in that enemy being defeated, which is definitely worth noting, but even still, this power is temporary. In many games, it lasts only a couple of seconds. We also know that power stars are capable of breaking magical seals. And that actually leads me to another thing. How do power stars even get used? Do they just, like, focus on them, or, like, eat the stars, or maybe somebody shoves it up their ass? Well, no, maybe not, but here's something that might be worth considering. Outer space sure does have a lot of stars, right? And what do you do with a shooting star? No, it's not Run from Fear, that's not what I'm talking about. You wish on a shooting star. Many of the RPG Mario games actually go out of their way to mention stars can grant the power of wishes themselves. Maybe this is their de facto power. And before you say anything, no, don't worry, we're going to be talking about the Mario RPGs here in a second. But I think it'd be a very, I don't know, Nintendo explanation to say that wishing on a fallen star grants a person a power by making a wish. And a reasonable wish to make whenever you're running around and trying to survive enemy forces or whatever would be to be temporarily invincible. I'm sure if left to Mario & Co.'s own devices, they wouldn't wish for partial invincibility or temporary invincibility, but remember that the star's power is limited. Think again on how many you have to collect in the 3D games. And while I have the background footage rolling for it, consider the Super Mario Galaxy games. Not only do you collect power stars and grand stars to facilitate progression, they're also being used as a sorta fuel source for the space station hub worlds you explore in these games. Now, if you're thinking about it, a reasonable question would be, how fast are these spaceships flying and how far are each of these galaxies? And like many things, we don't have an answer for that. But even if you were to disregard this bit of information, nonetheless, Bowser likes to use the stars in these games to power his machinations of war. So, okay, I think we have a little bit of a lead here. The stars are obviously of great power and great importance, they might have possibly came from outer space, and their possible consumption and use dictates wishing upon them. I think that makes sense to me, and all of this seems pretty otherworldly, right? Which now that's got me thinking. Does the Mushroom Kingdom have, like, gods or a god or anything? I don't think it'd be all that crazy to claim that spirits that could grant wishes from beyond the stars would be considered divinity, at least to the denizens of the Mushroom Kingdom. Most of the Mario RPGs are an entire separate can of worms, each and every one of them, and they kind of have to be because they're RPGs, so dialogue and text boxes is pretty important to that genre. The original Paper Mario game for the N64 hosts 6 star spirits that you have to save, sentient beings that can grant wishes, which to me seems like you could definitely mark them as some pantheon for Divinity. There is a pretty big canon issue here, unfortunately, and this has to do with Mario and Luigi Paper Jam existing. It pretty deliberately tells us that there is at least 2 different types of canon going on, and this game they intersect and start helping each other, which, yeah, okay. Maybe the whole Star Spirits thing is only relegated to the Paper Mario games. Maybe it's just one Paper Mario game. Who knows? Even still, I can't help but think about the other sanctimonious moments where you come across stars in the mainline games. Consider the Special World or the Special Stages. World Star or World 9 or whatever the games call them. I'm just saying, some of these games have star statues, and is that not evidence for stars as divinity? I mean, what would you call it? Even if there isn't some great Church of the Star God that ever exists in any of these games, the truth is stars still hold some sort of revelry within these games, and largely because of the power they hold. Whether or not these stars are individual beings with their own sentience, wants, fears, and needs, or maybe it could be each individual power star as a sort of gift from the gods. One that has gone unnamed and doesn't have any visual face to go with. All I'm saying is that there's at least one mention of a star temple, so do with that information what you will. And don't none of y'all go complaining at me, you're the one that clicked on a Mario Theory video about power stars after all. Like and subscribe for more insults thrown in your general direction. So power stars maybe, possibly, might be gods. Okay, great. What does that mean? Well, in the context of the Mario games proper, that doesn't really tell us much of anything, unfortunately. Really, if anything, if you choose to think about power stars in this way, it could add some extra weight to the entire concept of power stars and star power as a whole. Tangentially, it makes anything evil that Bowser does in these games a lot more blasphemic by nature. You know, possibly, maybe. But this line of thinking also has me considering things like the Dark Star in Bowser's Inside Story, for example. Is this like a chaotic evil dark god or something? Sure does act like it in some cases, if nothing else. And since we're kind of moving into the topic, why don't we talk about the... Now I know what you're thinking. But hey, Mr. YouTuber guy. Why do the stars turn you gay-colored? Well, I don't know, Happy Pride Month, I guess? The question you might actually be asking is, what about the stuff that isn't power stars? The Mario games that focus both in and around the Mushroom Kingdom sure do have a lot of MacGuffins. So are they in any way related to star power? Well, possibly. It's my personal headcanon that everything in the Mario series is derived from the stars. As always, we don't have any evidence for this, unfortunately, but from where I'm standing, what else could possibly be the answer? The Shine Sprite's purpose in Super Mario Sunshine, their only real thing that they do is just provide a bunch of light to the island. They glow pretty similarly to power stars, if nothing else. And what this tells me is that these other collectibles in the Mario series seem to be sort of specialized, I don't know, use cases or artifacts. Maybe the founder of Delfino Isle possibly maybe wished on a bunch of stars, or one particularly powerful star, and said, well, this island needs more light. Maybe they're in a part of the world where they just don't get that much. Joy and prosperity ensued, and then suddenly the Shine Sprites were born. The cool thing about this theory is that we can use it to explain away anything that isn't power stars in the Mario series. The Pure Hearts in Super Paper Mario sure do seem like they would take up a lot of power, right? So what if it's just like a ton of stars condensed down into one thing? While yes, they only have about 2 uses, and there's not all that many of them, they nonetheless allow one to travel to different dimensions. And while no, I'm not necessarily like a power scaling guy or anything, this nonetheless seems like a particularly powerful feat for this power system. What about any given magical attack that isn't directly star power? What about ones like the Magic Koopas? Is this some sort of twisted, malformed version of star power? I think that definitely could be the case, especially if you're a Nintendo fanboy and you see the individual magic attacks as the PlayStation symbols, because I mean, how could you not? It could also be that star power is just power. There's nothing innately good or evil about it necessarily. Maybe in its purest, rawest form, those who make the wish can make something that is either good or bad. Hence why we have things like the previously mentioned Dark Star, the Chaos Heart, and etc, etc. And with this, we've come up with a couple of conjecturous theories and talking points. Where do we go from here? Well, forward, of course. So, y'all know Geno, right? The puppet given life because of the stars? Everybody's favorite Smash Bros. Dropout? He might also be top contender for a secret Dragon Ball Z character. He's not only a character who can directly wield star power, but was also given sentience, hopes, dreams, and fears because of it as well. Just to throw this out there as well, all the Super Mario RPG footage comes courtesy of parsing on worldoflongplays.net. This footage really came in clutch for me to be able to get this video done in time, so thank you, parsing. Also check out longplays.org. This is only really the first time I think I have a strong argument here, because this is the most deliberate the Mario games are with star power and how it works. Earlier in this video I showed off things like Super Mario Galaxy and how Bowser likes to use the star power for his own weaponry. He also likes to use it for the game's bosses and such. But this is really the first time and only time in the Mario series we've seen a warrior of the stars. Which, now that I think about it, that would make a pretty good title card as well, actually. But the reason I instead went for Astral Weaponry is because this sets a pretty huge precedent for us. Geno is capable of buffing allies using star power. He can use it to fire a laser. He can walk, he can talk, he can think because of it. So then the next question I have, is star power just, like, limitless? What else could the wielders or beings of this power also do? They can travel to other dimensions, can they also turn back time? They can use it to power their weaponry and starships. Is there a limit to how far it can go, how powerful these weapons can get? What kind of shady secrets are lurking underneath the research and development teams of Peach's Castle or Bowser's Army or whoever decides to use them? What's next for the Mushroom Kingdom if this continues to go on? Will Princess Peach get a hold of Oppenheimerio and make a star nuke that's going to level Bowser's entire army, blanketing the entirety of the Mushroom Kingdom in a giant, gay, rainbow mushroom cloud? Well, no, I don't think so. But we can leave that to the more edgy fan writers for Mario content. If you were looking for a new idea, well, there's a freebie, I guess. And yeah, I guess that's all I got. Like I said, I haven't seen anybody talk about star power in the Mario series before, and hey, I mean, I don't know. If nothing else, at least it was a fun thought experiment, right? As with anything, there are some pretty big gaps in my knowledge regarding the Mario series. So, since I laid all the obvious stuff on the table, why don't we take this discussion to the comments or to the Discord channel? If you feel so inclined, while you're down there, why not like and subscribe as well? As always, if you feel like being extra charitable, you can also join the Patreon starting at $1 a month. Speaking of which, Patreon shoutout time. Special thank you as always goes to Stefan over on patreon.com. If you would like to join, you get access to sneak peeks of videos before they come out on YouTube, early releases to videos before they drop on Friday, and the ability to have your name shouted out at the end of these videos. If you don't feel like doing any of that, then liking, subscribing, ringing the bell, or even just watching this video to the end would still mean a lot to me. Even if you don't have anything to add necessarily to the star power discussion, well, I don't know. Maybe you can tell me what your favorite invincibility theme is. And if it's anything else other than the theme in Super Paper Mario, I'm gonna tell you, well, you're wrong. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again next Friday for something completely different. Have a good day, everybody.